Hey folks, welcome to my channel, Authentic TJ. If you are just arriving, I am queer trans guy talking to you about things going on in my life, daily events, big life events. So if that interests you, hit the subscribe button and like this video. I mentioned in my first video that I'm going for a hysterectomy. And I am going for that tomorrow. Today's Wednesday and tomorrow's Thursday, and heading in for the hysterectomy. It's really interesting what has come up for me in all of this. I am going to be taking you along on the journey, so I will be having you at the hospital with me just before I go in. Obviously, I won't be able to be there while it's happening. And then when I come out, I've asked my partner to videotape me and maybe not do too much embarrassing stuff like some of those folks that come out of dental surgery. But yeah, whatever she captures, I will hopefully be able to share with you folks. And yeah, be able to have a bit more conversation around this. Getting a hysterectomy wasn't always something that I even thought of or was something that I was wanting to get done. When I first let everyone know my authentic self 7 years ago, all I really cared about at that point was getting on testosterone and getting top surgery. And I was lucky enough to have both of those things done. And then, you know, more time passed and I knew a couple of trans guys who had gotten it done. And still, you know, I was kind of like bouncing it back and forth, but it wasn't anything that I gave a tremendous amount of weight to. And then as I got older and started to think more about the fact that, you know, really don't know the impacts that long-term testosterone use might be having on my body, and talking with folks, and actually one person saying that if you don't have a reason or a need for these organs or in your body, then why have them? Especially given the fact that they can be potentially problematic and that cancers might arise. So I gave that a lot of thought and actually made a lot of sense. It's just like, yeah, I don't have a reason for all of this to be in my body, so let's go through with a hysterectomy. So now with that being said, it's really interesting how externally there seems to be a lot of folks that are just like, you must be so pumped, this is so amazing for you, right? Like this is gonna bring you closer to, I don't know, your authentic self, and none of that exists for me at all. I will admit that I feel fairly detached from this. Not to say that I'm feeling detached from the surgery itself, because the surgery itself I'm actually quite scared of, quite scared about. I think any time that we're put under for surgery, there is certainly risk there. I get it that, and I've heard from so many people that it's such a common surgery, it's surgeons' bread and butter, and that there's nothing to worry about, but there's always complications. And me being the person I am, I have a tendency to go to that place and I'm just like, oh, you know what, I'm gonna be that statistic of whatever percentage it is of people that aren't put under properly and can feel everything that's going on. That's where my mind goes. And or that something's gonna be nicked while they're in there, like some other part of me, some other organ. So yeah, I have a tendency in my brain to kind of go to worst case, and recognizing that that doesn't bode well for going into surgery, but I can't help it. It's who I am. It's what I do. But I am really trying to. I can feel myself sweating right now just talking about it. Oh. Yeah, so I am very nervous about it, and in all seriousness, I did have a conversation with the surgeon who's going to be doing the hysterectomy. You know, you meet these people, you don't know them at all, you meet with them super quickly, they go over kind of what the procedure is going to be, do you have any questions? And so I was sitting with him, and you know, I did ask about some of the complications that might arise, and then the whole time I was sitting with him, I had this thing going back and forth in my mind, going, am I gonna say anything, am I not, am I not? And I think for a lot of trans folks out there, you probably maybe have had similar experiences, especially dealing with medical professionals, where there is that battle of, do I wanna say anything, do I just wanna stay status quo, make it seem like everything's fine? And I think for myself personally, I've reached a point where it's just like, screw that. So I did say to him, I said, admittedly, I am very scared and not feeling overly comfortable about getting this surgery done and how I'll be treated at the hospital and on the gynecology ward. And, you know, I think a lot of my experience with the medical professional system has been either been treated very poorly or really downplayed or minimized how I am feeling. And so the expectation was that he would just be like, oh no, you have nothing to worry about. And actually he didn't do that. What he did say, kind of the first words out of his mouth were, we've come a long way in the past 10 to 15 years. And he did mention that, you know, him and his team have done a lot of these surgeries with trans guys. And so it's not new for them. And he did actually state, if anything does come up, please let me know. And although these weren't his words, this is what I got from it, that he would then ensure that education happened. So that made me feel a lot better. I think it just felt really good for me to get it off my chest and really let him know, like, hey, this isn't comfortable for me and these are the reasons why. He did mention that there was a trans guy historically, the same surgery, was on the gynecology ward, and because he had an M on his care card, his medical card, I guess that caused some issues on the ward. And so he did kind of warn me about that could happen. And, you know, I can totally see how that might happen. And that certainly was a concern of mine in what I had mentioned to him, in that, you know, you would never have any idea who, maybe him and his team are fine, but maybe the nurses on the ward have biases or are transphobic or bring whatever they bring to the table. So admittedly, like I've mentioned, I am very nervous about that. To be in such a vulnerable state, going to be totally out of it, looped up, and not be able to be in control of how I could be treated. I'm also going to be staying overnight, and I haven't stayed overnight in the hospital since, I would say, since I was a baby, so like 40 years. So that in itself also brings up stuff. And it was interesting because the surgeon said to me, he's like, so you have a private room? And I actually laughed and was like, thank you, because I hadn't even thought about that. I hadn't put it forward or thought anything about that. And then actually stopping and thinking, right, I could have been put into a room with other folks and that would have been a lot more uncomfortable. So really happy that he obviously thought ahead. I have a private room. I don't really have too much more that I was wanting to say as an intro. I will be bringing you folks along. You will be there tomorrow morning as I wake up at 4:15 and have to do a full scrub of my body. You won't be there for the scrub of my body part. Don't think those are the videos that I want to be making. But what I have to do is I got this surgical soap that I need to totally thoroughly wash my body with, back every area of my body tonight, and then I also have to do it again tomorrow morning. So that's just to ensure that my body is fully clean and hopefully will combat any infection, so that infection and stuff like that doesn't happen. As you can tell, medical technical terms are really my thing. I really seem to know what to say. So yeah, need to do that tonight, need to do it tomorrow morning again. And then I go to the admitting at 6 a.m. and then I go in for my surgery. And I actually don't even know what time my surgery starts, nor how long it will take. All I do know is that I will be in overnight, and then hopefully all will be good and I will be discharged and able to come home Friday. So again, you will be coming along with me. I will be taking you will be a part of this. And yeah, I will see you tomorrow morning.